This is and I am Kity Hollywood. Now, 2 words, Alfred Hitchcock, but not as you know him. I'm talking 1940, I'm talking United Artists, I'm talking Foreign Correspondent. This is the second film that Hitchcock made once he'd come over to the States. Rebecca was the first, but this is the first that has a really Hollywood feel to it. Walter Wanger, who was the producer of Foreign Correspondent, had bought the rights much earlier to Vincent Sheehan's political memoir, Personal History. He'd tried to get a script fashioned out of it, no dice. Once Hitchcock was on board, he, along with a number of others, including Robert Benchley, wrestled it into a story, gave it a contemporary European feel, and filming began. So, the plot. Johnny Jones, American journalist, goes to England as a correspondent, happens upon a dastardly political plot, chaos and romance ensue. Hitchcock had wanted Gary Cooper as the lead, but Hollywood looked down its nose at thrillers. I mean, I suppose it kind of still does, anyhow. Gary Cooper turned it down. He did subsequently tell Hitchcock that he'd made the wrong decision. And Joel McCrea was appointed the lead. And look, I really like Joel McCrea, and although people speak of him slightingly, I don't have a problem with him. Laraine Day, who plays Carol Fisher, the romantic lead, whatever. Apparently Hitchcock had wanted Joan Fontaine. Herbert Marshall, who plays the father of Carol Fisher, Stephen Fisher, the head of a major anti-war faction, is fascinating. He himself was a World War I veteran who managed to carve a highly successful acting career out for himself, despite the fact that he'd lost a leg in World War I. He can be romantic, he can be villainous, he's a very, very interesting actor to watch. And I can't not mention George Sanders. Despite him playing an oily snake just the year beforehand in Rebecca, he is a solid, upstanding citizen in this film. He has a wicked sense of humour and some of the best lines in the movie. I would put this down largely to Robert Benchley. I mean, you can't be a member of the Algonquin table and a witty raconteur without having a large effect on the films that you're involved with.
There it is.
Now you say it like a stutter?
No, just straight for. Call up Stevens at the Post and tell him that I'm off to America.
Cable New York and tell them that I'm off to America.
And then ring up the Curson Dancing Academy and cancel my rumba list.
2 ham sandwiches on rye bread.
The film is long. It's a long film. Can't see how long it is. Anyhow, it's long. It's over 2 hours. It stalls in spots. At times you just think, oh, where are they up to now? And there is a sequence involving Edmund Gwenn that I'd get rid of, quite honestly. But this doesn't take anything away from it. The thing you got to think about is that it was made 75 years ago, and there are set pieces in this film that take your breath away. I mean, just check this out. This is a set. This is 10 complex acres of piping and drainage and tram tracks and electrics, and it's extraordinary. It took up a large amount of time in the film, so I mean it's 100% worth it, but it's really quite extraordinary. The windmill scene is this clever, moody, atmospheric and almost at times nail-biting piece of work. I mean, you're there going, no, don't. But I mean, compare it to the wine cellar scene in Notorious, to the glass of milk scene in Suspicion. Much better known sequences, both of them. This one holds up, it holds its own. William Cameron Menzies was the set designer for this film, and it shows. But the major set piece for the film is the plane crash that happens towards the end. I'm not giving anything away. It is this utterly vivid, dynamic piece of work. I mean, you watch it going, how? So, if you want to know more about how, check out my blog. But you watch it even today and you just think, whoa, wow, it's extraordinary. Hitchcock fan, you watch this film and it's got all these early themes and concepts that you see happening later on in his films, and it's fascinating to watch. The creeping up from your hotel room to escape and into somebody else's room and getting tangled up with them, the being in a dire situation and drawing as many people into your situation so that you can extract yourself from it. The set pieces being very much linked to the physical location of the film, you know, windmills, Netherlands, and you watch it and you think, oh, Hitchcock, look at you, and you compare it to his later stuff. It's good. It's worth it. Now, the ending to this film was going to be quite different. It was going to be this cynical thing, but Hitchcock travelled back to England during post-production, and he was genuinely worried about what was going on in his country. And he had this ending rewritten and filmed quite freakily just a couple of days before bombing commenced in London.
This is London. We have as a guest tonight one of the soldiers of the press, one of the little army of historians who are writing history from beside the cannon's mouth, the foreign correspondent of the New York Globe, Huntley Haverstock.
Hello, America. I've been watching a part of the world being blown to pieces. A part of the world as nice as Vermont and Ohio and Virginia and California and Illinois lies ripped up and bleeding like a steer in a slaughterhouse. And I've seen things that make the history of the savages read like Pollyanna legends. I've seen
Ray,
women...
we shall have to postpone the broadcast.
Oh, postpone nothing. Let's go on as long as we can.
Madam, we have a shelter downstairs.
How about it, Carol?
They're listening in America, Johnny.
Okay. We'll tell them.
And I don't know, it lends it this funny quality, this it's a jolly caper, but it's a serious political drama. It's a funny blend, but apparently, you know, it caught the attention of Joseph Goebbels, who called it a masterpiece of political propaganda. Now, I'm not thinking that gaining the attention of Joseph Goebbels was high on the list of priorities for young British filmmakers, but it's interesting to see that the film was strong enough to grab the attention of the enemy and make it spend some time on it. The film has this eerily prescient quality because it was shot during World War II, because one of the cameramen actually was travelling from London back to the US, and he was torpedoed on the way home, lost all of his equipment, didn't lose his life, but he had to go back and refilm and bring the sequences back home again with him. It's all this sort of thing that conspires together to make this film really utterly fascinating. And look, seriously, the plane crash, it's worth 1,000,000 points all by itself. So check it out. Foreign Correspondent, 9 out of 10.